Hey, how you doing? How you doing there, SK Plus? And the rest of our podcast feed. We're doing an after party because we don't have shit to talk about for the week of pop culture.
Jay, we have a lot of new listeners. Tell them what an after party is.
An after party is, so basically what we do is we go to a strip club, we do a bunch of drugs.
Hell yes.
And we drink a lot, and this is the after party. This is what we talk about after we've had ladies dancing on our laps and doing a bunch of cocaine. That's not really what after party is. We just hang out. We just talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. Usually we have something planned to talk about, and we never talk about that, ever.
That's true. Yeah, why was that trying to do that? When we decided we were going to do an after party, I was
rarely
thinking,
ever happens.
we need to figure out what we're going to talk about. Yeah, there's nothing to talk about ever, is there, Joe? We just ramble. Most of our conversations are about our experiences eating out.
Yeah, you're wearing those Nikes there. Those are nice. Those Lunar Lons.
So I feel like my legs.
Are those new?
I feel like my legs look stumpy. Like, because they're a wider shoe, and I'm flat-footed anyway, so I tend to have a wider base on my foot. And I don't know, they just look like too big.
Here's what I'll say about shoes. Like, I think they look good. I think they look really good on you.
I'm
So a shoe like that, it's kind of like a prime knit upper, which means it's like very tight, almost like a sock. You kind of need, because it's a thinner material, you need it balanced out with a thicker sole, I think, because otherwise it kind of just looks like you're wearing water socks.
It does look, I don't know what, I'm not even sure what that means, but it does
look
look
like
like
a water sock is?
No. Just the slip-on shoes?
Those shoes you wear to the
river.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were called water socks. I just thought that they were like swimming shoes.
So like flippers. That would be a flipper.
No, a flipper is a flipper. A swimming shoe is a swimming shoe. What are we, Dan Le Batard? They were talking
Teach
about
their own.
Is
tomato.
This is what they were talking about on Le Batard earlier this week.
Oh, great. Can't wait to find out.
Are Cheetos a chip?
Well, yeah, of course they are.
See, I was, as soon as I, look, it's not a chip in the sense that like you make potato chips and corn chips, tortilla chips. It's not as,
it's Cheeto is a corn chip. It's made from corn.
Huh?
It's made from corn.
But a chip being like a slice.
Right,
shape.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's a corn puff, to be more specific.
You wouldn't call a steak a hamburger.
They were talking about like, what about puffs? Because like Funyuns and pork rinds and Cheetos, cheese balls. Because Cheetos is like the Kleenex for tissues. You know what I mean? It's what everyone calls a cheesy puff, but there are more brands than that. Like,
yeah,
Cheetos is just what we call cheesy puffs. Did you follow my Kleenex tissue comparison?
Yeah, I don't know if I call the like cheesy puff balls. I don't think I call those Cheetos. Maybe I do. I don't remember. It's been a while. Those things are addicting.
Yeah,
those like cheesy. Puff balls.
What do you want to do about the dogs right now? Shut the door.
No one can hear them.
Should we holler?
No one can hear them.
Well, then it'll get hot.
No one can hear them.
No one can hear them. That's fair.
You just think you're paranoid right now.
Yeah, I'm a little paranoid. So we talked about what we're going to do here. We're just going to talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about.
Kayla's also sitting beside me. She might interject.
But Kayla is awful at podcasting without a mic. Like, she's just going to be talking and people are going to barely, well, I think that...
is this residual, frustration because... Has there been some tension between you two ever since she took over some Let's Talk Legions and whatnot?
Oh, no, I don't care about that at all.
Yeah.
I would care if she was bad at it.
Okay.
But she's not.
You're doing it.
I just said
you have to tap on it.
I just said I don't mind it. I would only mind it if she were bad at it. And she goes, "Oh, was I bad?" No, I just said you weren't.
I was just wondering if I was bad at it. I just wanted you to pay me a compliment.
No.
Tell me how good I am.
See, she's doing it again.
I know. Here's the thing.
She's talking.
One other thing. If you're when you talk, just because when you do podcast, I have to turn you up, and I'm louder than you, so you got to like
that. Okay,
talk like you have voice of modulation.
I'm gonna go back on what I said. Kayla's bad at it. She's too timid. That's what she changes her voice.
No, I don't.
Because regularly you have a great speaking voice. I can hear you. We talk about things all the time. He puts that mic in front of you.
You do pull back.
I think Tyrion is and then it's like, what are you doing? You're an
Say your
outgoing
piece.
person?
I don't. I can't deny that I'm a little. I get wobbly. I don't like talking
Wobbly.
on the phone. I don't like the sound of my own voice.
You were
so-
talking on the phone when you walked in.
Fuck off.
You were.
Fuck off.
You were
Ryan.
talking to your fellow employee. Well, business. You were talking to your business partner right after you had just left hanging out with your business partner.
How do you feel? Let me ask you this question.
It's like, Jay, after we get done podcasting, I'm going to call you on the way home.
How do you feel that Kayla is younger than you, but she is an entrepreneur and a business owner?
I think that's fantastic.
Because sometimes you get a little weirded out. You're like, oh, Brie Larson is so young and she's so famous.
Brie Larson, Jennifer Lawrence, Kate Upton, all my age.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yeah. You know who's my age? Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Great. I think it's awesome. I've been watching him since I was in high school.
I don't know. I want to be an entrepreneur so bad, but
You are.
I have.
How are you not?
I don't know.
Right now with what we're doing.
I want to own a Planet Fitness.
Everybody I've talked to, we're not going to get into this. I don't want to get into this. Hang on. What do you want to say?
Like, give Kayla the mic.
I just want to ask the question of why do you want to own a Planet Fitness?
Well, I don't now. After seeing how much those motherfuckers cost the franchise.
Okay, here's the thing.
You want to know how much?
Yeah, how much was it?
Starting, like, minimally,
The investment, early investment.
minimally, $600K.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
But you would make it back
Oh,
so
100%.
quick. Think of how you just get 10, like, every last day of the month, you get just thousands of dollars thrown into your account.
Well, yeah, of
Not
course.
to mention the merchandise you sell in between that.
It's also a massive headache. Massive
Why are you
headache.
throwing your hand up like that? Oh,
Because
that's
I
what she
wanted-
does when she talks.
I wanted to talk. It's not thousands and thousands of dollars. There are a limited number of people that are going to sign up for the gym, and half the time they might come, but usually
Yeah,
they're
but
going to
there's
cancel
variables
their
of payment
membership.
as well. So I was just throwing out a loose number, Kayla.
I'm just trying to be realistic here.
That's all I was doing.
Realism.
I'm not-
600K? That's insane.
I think you're taking what I said the wrong way. I wasn't saying it like that was my defense as to why it would be a good idea. I was just saying
no,
like,
no.
that's the business model that like you wake up one day and then it's like, oh, it's all there for the month.
That's
Because
wacky.
people pay all their subscriptions on one day.
I don't think you've thought about it all the way through. It doesn't. We don't have to. I don't want to talk about this.
I'm just saying. I'm talking about one very small aspect of it. We're not actually diving deep into what's going on over there.
Right, of course. So the thing about why are you laughing?
What a dumb conversation
The thing about
for anyone who wants to own a Planet Fitness.
well, here's an issue number one, and this is where we could sort of step away from that whole conversation. Anyways, issue number one: anytime you involve more people in a business or in anything that you are trying to be serious about, it is so fucking hard and so fucking difficult.
I had to raise $600K.
I don't give a fuck about 600K.
Hey.
I'm talking about, remember when we tried to run a podcast with 5 other people? How much of a nightmare that was?
I remember how much of a nightmare it was to have a podcast with just one other person.
Right. Yeah.
On 2 separate occasions.
Yeah.
It fucking
tough.
sucked.
It's tough.
It was the worst.
I mean, just the more people you add into the equation, anytime you're trying to do something successful. I mean, I think the thing that gets me, and I think one of the reasons why we work so well together is because we have a high standard for ourselves. We have a high standard for the quality of things that we put out. Now, we might have differences of opinions on certain aspects of it, but at the end of the day, when we walk away from whatever we've done, we're pretty confident in whatever the final product is going to be for the most part.
I think so. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to get there, but it's funny because
What do you mean? A little bit
like-
longer to get where?
like usually I'm down like after we record, I'm like, that wasn't a great episode, and then I'm fine with it when I actually listen to it.
You haven't done that in a while.
Which is funny because I guess I just learned to get over it. But it's interesting because when I do YouTube, I put up the
I know.
I put up the most simpleton videos, and I realize that sometimes I'll do movie reviews. And
It's the exact opposite for me.
when I'm doing my movie reviews, sometimes I post it, will rewatch it, and I'll go, I didn't really say anything.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because I was so used to on Film Beef talking about all kinds of aspects of film for 45 to an hour, and sometimes I watch a 8 to 9 minute video, and I'm like, I didn't really say anything. I talked about the pacing once, and that was it.
You know, speaking of movies, I mean, we can.
The best thing about that kind of video.
He's interrupting again. I'm just kidding.
No, I'll let you transition. But the best thing about doing that kind of video, your album reviews, track, what do you call those videos?
Track reviews.
Track. Oh, I thought it was something else.
Well, I mean, is that what we're talking about? A track review where I just review the song? Yeah.
Anytime we do our own personal videos like that, it doesn't really, like, I don't think anyone's really complaining. Maybe you've gotten this. I wish you talked more about it. Like, what else did you like and not like? So I don't know why I think, well, I didn't really say anything, because it's just, I can use the crutch. Well, I mean, it's just my take, and it doesn't have to be mind-blowing every time.
I think part of it is, I think that's an interesting point. I don't get that as much, but it's also because, so I edit the fuck out of my videos. Like I take out breaths and stuff just to make it very, I do. Like, if I'm making a sentence, if I'm saying a sentence and I'm like, da 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 da, blah, 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 I will take out that breath. But I also,
that's too much.
I think it's great. I think it's fine. In fact, I studied the fuck out of other people, out of other successful YouTubers.
Jeremy Johns?
No, definitely not Jeremy Johns. Not a fan of Jeremy Johns. He's fine on movie talk and stuff. Don't like his reviews, regardless.
You hold on. The way you said, I don't like Jeremy Johns, goes against everything that we've actually said to each other off air, which is you like Jeremy Johns more than I do.
What I just said is that I don't care for his reviews.
Yeah,
I like him on Movie Talk. I think he's fine. I think his personality is fine. It's different than what we get. Regardless, back to the making videos thing. I say so much while I'm recording the raw footage that I can assemble what I need to say, the points that I'm trying to make, so I can get away with that a little bit more. I've also, and I've mentioned this before on my music episodes, and I think a little bit on Weekly, but I'm getting a little like sick of just straightforward reviews, like where I break down every little nuance that you didn't hear the first time. Like I'm not here to do that. Do you want to know what I think about the song? That's what I'm going to tell you. Like, it's I either like it or I didn't, and I'll tell you little things that I like, but I don't want to give room to somebody to be like, well, why didn't you pick up this echo in the back? It's like, fuck off.
I don't think we've gotten comments like that. I think in my Ozark review, people were like, you didn't even review this. This is a reaction. And I hate that argument because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Can I
whether you react to a trailer or review it, you're essentially giving your take.
Right.
And then the only difference is that at the end of a reaction, no one grades it. Yeah. But when you call something a review, that's when you grade it. Like people comment that all the time. This wasn't even a review. You put review in the thumbnail. This was more of a reaction or whatever. And it's like,
I treat
it's for fucking YouTube.
I treat my track reviews like I do like a trailer review or reaction. I would never grade a trailer, so I also never grade tracks. They're just not really.
Yeah,
it's not really a body of work. I just tell you, like I said, what I think about stuff. But my entire approach to what we do and how people take it and how people, if they enjoy it or if they don't, can be summed up by my good buddy Carl Bragg. He was showing our separator music to somebody, and they said something like, they were like, there's too many effects on the vocals. And 9 times out of 10, I would be like, oh man, that's kind of, whatever, that stings a little bit. But his response then was like, okay, well, I guess it's just not for you then. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of a good response. Like, it's just, that's what it is. And some things are just not for people. And as simple of a reaction as that is, sometimes it really is that simple, right? I mean,
yeah,
if you don't like a movie like what's that movie that came out recently with that one guy from The Fighter?
Jesus Christ.
Not The Fighter. Fuck, what is that movie called? It Comes at Night?
Yeah.
Remember how everybody was like, oh, well, a lot of the commentary was that the trailer made it seem like something that it wasn't.
Right.
But, or even Dunkirk, like people walking away from Dunkirk and it's just like, I didn't enjoy it. There wasn't a story, the characters, this and that. Like,
it was okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it was what it was, right? like what?
If Jay reviewed movies, yeah, it was there.
Yeah, but what?
It showed up when I got there.
I mean, let's get a little existential about this. Why do we review things? What does it matter?
Film criticism?
Yeah. Why can't you just enjoy it or not?
I mean, this is my view on it, and I'm sure
any criticism.
I'm sure that an actual critic could cite this a whole lot better than I could.
Call up Chris Hartwell.
But it's like, I wish I could.
Yeah.
But
hopefully he's okay.
He is.
Chris.
I think what primarily affected.
Did you know about this?
Our buddy.
Educate people that don't know. And
so we have a buddy of ours that we know from the Schmoes No Show named Chris Hartwell, and he recently, of course, so he was of course based out of L.A. at that time, and then he recently got a job as a professor of, I can't think of what the university is called, Houston Baptist, something like that. So he moved to Houston a week before Hurricane Henry.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
So he basically drove in and that disaster happened. And
nuts.
And he, I think, is okay. I don't think there was any, as far as I know, there wasn't any damage to his house, but it affected his work. They had a week delay at school.
Right,
so
of course.
as far as I know, that's the only thing that sort of held him back, and he's going to be a film teacher there. So he's someone that, well, if you listen to Sight and Sound, you know I did the movie Bucket List show with him, and he was really great on that. And we talked about doing an after party with him. And of course, this is I wanted him to transition and kind of get comfortable with that new job and everything. I knew he'd be very busy, and now they've got this on their plate. So,
I mean, the thing I have to say about Chris Hartwell is we all love finding those diamonds in the rough when it comes to like bands and stuff. You know, those unsigned bands, those underground bands that you want to keep in your back pocket. That's Chris Hartwell. He is such an incredible talent, such a smart guy. Like when he talks, I can't help but pay attention.
I know, he's great.
Yeah.
And he also is just, he's so authentic and real. Like, he, if anything, he seemed more nice.
He's also a lovely
air.
guy.
He's amazing. Not he.
Kayla's looking at us like, okay.
No, what I wanted to say
man
was,
boner.
He's so real and authentic, and he told me that he was homeschooled. And you know how homeschooled people have that weirdness to them.
Of course he was.
Like,
yeah.
And inmates, I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
But I really fucking love you.
Right.
He just has that thing about him where you're like, I would just want to be around that guy all the time. And he's also just so nice. And I'm looking at him like, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
Why can't I be that damn nice?
Well, speaking of other natural disaster-ish type things,
well, nothing but the best for his family.
I found out today there was a fire in Burbank. Hopefully Collider is still there on Monday. Hopefully everything's okay. Who lives just down the street from Collider? I know Evan. What's his name? What's the guy's name?
Evan
Goldberg.
lives near Meltdown Comics.
Okay.
It's like Collider.
Doesn't Beardo live like across the street from Collider?
I think so.
Yeah, next to that Chili's.
Which is funny because he works there the least.
He doesn't even really work there, does he?
This is
does
what
he
I
get
would
paid.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Does Max get paid?
Probably not.
If Max gets paid,
I don't think Max.
We don't. How dare? No,
I don't think.
Well, yeah, it's fine.
This is Sight and Sound.
Yeah, we talk about whatever we want.
No, I think the only people that don't get paid are RB3 and Max.
Okay.
But then again, if they were like, "Oh, we pay
Cal.
RB3," then I wouldn't be surprised. But
Cal gets paid.
I think in California, like really weird and more strict about their like laws of internship. Like,
I have no idea.
I remember Campia mentioned that, like, he answered a mailbag question, like, why don't you let people show up, like, as an audience or
Right.
interns or whatever? And he's like, because that is such a wait, those are two different topics. Anyway, he was talking about how there are certain like intern rules that are just so complicated and messy that they weren't even going to fool with it. But that also might have just been a complete excuse just so he didn't have to do that. But
Well, I mean, I think the fact that there's on camera stuff and production, maybe with the unions and stuff going on in California, maybe that's where it gets a little tricky.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'd love to find out though. It'd be nice for somebody to explain these things to
If
us.
only we knew someone.
we know so many people.
Do the schmoes need that many production people?
No,
And
they don't.
I'm not even talking about like
This is a conversation that you and I have had before I was involved with After Schmo.
yeah. I'm not. That's a different question though.
I know.
Like because we were talking about like what are all of these people actually doing?
Yeah.
But now I'm talking about during the Schmoes No Live show. Do they need like 6 motherfuckers? No, they don't.
You know what? Here's after spending so much more time with them since we first started having that conversation. Here's the thing that I've realized: if they have them and they can justify them and they can pay them and all that stuff, then that's fine. Use what you have. But I also want them to try. We've talked about this on After Schmo before. I think places like that need to do things that are a little bit smaller. Like it does confuse me sometimes to like, I don't know, with all those people. I mean, I think sometimes the content that Collider puts out is kind of bare minimum. I mean, is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We've mostly kind of talked a lot about their graphics and things like that, how they should be updated. I think I think that hold on, these are kind of like two different things. But the point that I was getting to is like I was just browsing through their videos the other day.
Yeah.
I was like looking through the history because of course I'm watching them all the time.
Have you ever sorted the videos by date instead of like
to go to the first?
Yeah. They went like essentially the channel was built on trailers.
Yeah. They would
That's
repost
crazy.
trailers and then they would be like Frosty would have like small interviews in hotel rooms and things like that. And then and now it is what it is. But what I was gonna say was it's just so I feel like coming in from the outside, it's just such a cool channel. Like if you look at all the videos and look at all the shit they're doing, movie trivia Schmodown, here's a Jedi Council thing, here's a Heroes thing. Like it's so it's everything.
I think when you wrap your head around what it is, what they're trying to do. And I think just to sort of broaden the conversation a little bit, I think one thing that I get fearful of from time to time with what we do, and I think about this with channels like Collider and other just, companies in general, is you can perfectly live your life and build a career and build a company on a niche community. I've said this before talking about YouTubers. Like there are YouTubers out there with 300,000 or even Instagram people with 300,000 followers. Like in the grand scheme of things of life, that's not a lot, but it is a lot.
Yeah.
And if I saw my shoe YouTuber guy that I follow walking down the street, I would be like, holy shit, that's a guy. But to most people, they would have no idea who he is. The point I'm trying to make is I wonder how often these people think about, well, how can I appeal to a wider audience? And I feel like that's an easier conversation to have when you're one person or two people like you and I. But when you're a company where the wheels are turning like Collider, I mean, I wonder how often they're having those conversations.
I don't know.
I mean, I think that's why people like a Mark Fernandez are making a comic book shopping and whatnot.
The Schmoes have only done 3 movie reviews this month.
Yeah,
or two movie reviews this month.
I get worried from time to time. I'll be honest. I get worried that I really do feel like sometimes that some of the Schmoes stuff is falling a little bit by the wayside, but I also don't really blame them. They're busy. So what's the answer to that? Is it delegate that job out to other people? I mean, is SK Plus extremely important to the channel to help it grow its audience?
To grow its audience?
It can't grow its audience. That's not what I mean. To sustain content.
I guess it just depends. I mean, it doesn't sustain content on their channel because it's a separate channel with far less subscribers.
Right.
10% of the subscribers.
To appease fans.
Yeah. And even then, I mean, think about how many subscribers are on the channel and then how many views we get a week. I
Right.
mean, it's a very
Doesn't
small
translate.
amount. And I know we like to make jokes about, who has the more popular show, but they're all in the same ballpark between, I would say, 2 and 5K
Right.
an episode, and then some variables in there. But no, to answer your question, I don't think it doesn't do anything to sustain their channel. No.
Can we do a little bit of reflecting real quick?
Sure.
It just occurred to me that
You're amazed at how far you've come.
I've got a long way to go. So we joked about it being our 1 year little birthday anniversary thing. I don't think we really have anything planned to
A birthday and anniversary, the same thing.
Yeah, they are. I don't know not always, because Kayla and I will have an anniversary. That's not necessarily a birthday. So
It's your relationship's birthday
of our relationship. We don't really have anything planned to talk about the birthday.
I thought we were talking about our top 5s.
Well, we're going to do that, but let's take a little bit of time to reflect on the year.
Oh boy,
I'm serious. Like, where have you thought about where Sight and Sound is, and the fact that we started a year ago?
Every time we talk about our YouTube subscribers,
I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm talking about everything in general.
Right, I'm giving you an example.
Okay, sorry.
Every time we talk about our YouTube subscribers, I compare it to the progress that Film Beef made.
Right.
And it's a whole lot different. And so yeah, I think of it that way mainly just because it's comparative, because I worked so hard on that, and I want to. Sometimes I feel like I can't decide which one I feel like I worked harder on, but obviously something's working. Reflective.
Well, subscribers is one thing, but then you also throw into the
Podcast plays
interaction.
and interaction.
Interaction is huge.
There's no comparison when it comes to that.
Oh my God. I don't know of any podcast, definitely that I've been a part of, but just others that I know of other people that podcast that have this sort of interaction we have obviously Schmoes know to thank for that. But also just in general, like I do get proud that there are people now in our Facebook group that interact with the Schmoville people.
Did you see
Like
Eric and
Ross
Ryan
Cassidy.
post today?
Yeah.
I was like,
did you
oh, you
pressure
guys
them?
I was like, oh, you guys are in here? And I was like, but Ryan's post today involved like him doing something, thinking of us like on the side. Yeah, he wasn't telling anyone in the group that, and which is funny because
Isn't it
earlier,
just his existence in general?
yeah, earlier in the week, Eric sent us a funny joke that was movie related, and I was just like, Eric, this is what the group is for, the Facebook group.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's funny that they're. I don't know. It's funny that they are in there. It's especially funny to me because going back to the point you made at the top, talking about how many people we've been involved with over the years, it's funnier to me that that some of the people that we've talked about.
He lost his train of thought.
Yeah, I did. That some of the people we've talked about so many times on this podcast, like, we've talked for a full year about Cody Hecker, and he has yet to be on Sight and Sound.
Do you remember that day he stopped by while we were recording weekly?
Yeah. Yeah.
He drove by my house today. He sent me a Snapchat.
I know. That Cody Hecker
It's so frustrating.
has been the biggest disappointment of my lifetime.
I know. He's
Because-
a mythological creature.
I don't know what the hell. We spent so much time. Well, not so much. We spent a lot of time doing Death to DVR together, and that he was all about it.
He was flourishing.
And then he got married, and now he doesn't do anything with us. And we talked about him. Think about it. We talked about him for a full year on Sight and Sound and never got him on. That's bullshit, Cody.
We haven't had a lot of people on, to be fair, and that's something I'm mildly.
We had Volpe.
That's something I'm mildly proud of too. Is the fact that the channel and its success hasn't really been built on getting big guests, and I think that's something that I'm happy with. It's something that I'd like to do more of. 100%. It's a big goal that I want for you.
I feel like I've lost that skill set because I worked up to it. Like early on, Film Beef had huge guests I couldn't even believe, and very quickly. And it's funny because at that time I wish I was better, like going back and listening to those shows. So now I feel like I would do worse because I've had so much time off. And so, like,
I'm also kind of addicted right now to that after party we did with Carl and Mitchell, like sitting in a room with people. And honestly, I find those conversations more interesting. Like and we've talked about it a lot, and we've talked about it on here a lot. I'm bored of those conversations of like, tell me your stories, da 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 da. Like, no, let's get into some real shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a great time with that episode.
yeah, I did too.
Yeah, it was
I don't
good.
think I listened back to it, but I mean, it was fun being here talking about that.
Well, I think it's good for other people. I wonder that sometimes, like, oh, wonder if other people are going to care. But I think we have a listener base that are interested in the same types of conversations we have on Sight and Sound Weekly, just with more people.
Sometimes, though, and I'm not speaking ill of our friends that we made online on Twitter and Facebook and the people that follow us every day, every week. But I wonder, like, sometimes I still need the outside opinion. Like, I feel like if we're constantly, like, I want to make sure that I'm feeling challenged. Because it's great, and I know that, like, our Facebook group, for example, they will tell us if something's not working. I think that will legitimately happen. But so far, we don't get a lot of criticism because we're all becoming friends, which is great. But at the same time,
Unless you put out a from first to last
right
review on YouTube.
I can't believe this. I'm still friends with all those people in our Facebook group. Did not abandon me after the story where I lost my virginity. But yeah, that was the first time I brought that up. Number one.
It hasn't came up in a while, but
so, that happened during the Q&A. Anyway, my point is that I want to make sure that I'm also not getting comfy because I know that I have that great support system.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, people don't really know what all goes through our mind on a weekly basis. I don't think. That's one of the things I try to talk about at the top of all my music shows when I do housekeeping stuff. I also sort of let people know, like, oh, here's what I'm planning on doing, all this stuff. And, we have some really cool things, I think, planned for late this year and early next year. And I said this on the music show that I think are really going to give people an idea of what the future of Sight and Sound could be. Things like the More Than Music episode that I've talked about before. I sort of dropped a little teaser on this first season syndrome thing, your movie bucket list. I think that's something that I want to put a lot of thought into because it gives a lot more freedom, I think, for us to be creative outside of what we do every single week. And it, I don't know, it also, I think, gives people a reason to look forward to something.
Yeah. I think if we're doing the whole reflective thing, I think the things that I look at the most are the relationships we built with TV Time and Stardust. Like, to me, those are the big deals.
100%. Well, just milestones throughout the year in general.
Talking about, like, Film Beef's biggest accomplishment was the guest that it made early on, and then this is kind of what that is for Sight and Sound. Those relationships, and even with Schmoes, even with Schmoes, 100%. All of them. So,
well, I mean, I don't think when we started this, first of all, we never thought that it would be able to be distributed on SK
yeah,
Plus.
I mean, that was an accident, and I don't.
We bring it up all the time that at any moment it could just go away and it wouldn't be that big. Well, it would.
It's not even that. Like,
that,
I think some people might think that was like one of my requirements to come back to After Schmo, and it wasn't. It was just something that Christian extended to me, which was, hey, come back and we'll just put it up. And I'm like, and my literal response to him was, really? Like, why? I don't know why you do it. And he was just like, oh, it's a good show. And I was like, okay. So he just does that. And so whenever he decides it doesn't fit with SK Plus anymore, then it'll go down and it won't be that big of a deal. But
it's also hilarious that the start of Sight and Sound also coincided with you leaving After Schmo. Do you remember that?
I do.
In fact, that was one of the reasons that you gave for leaving. And it's just hilarious that now here we sit, both a part of it. I think that's it's interesting to me. And it's also, look, I made this statement, I think, again, on my music show, reflecting back on the year and where we've been. And I think I thought about it and I was like, man, is this surprising to me? Is this surprising? Is it shocking that we've been able to do what we've been able to do? And I thought about it, I was like, you know what? No, it's not, because we've worked our ass off to do what we've done. I looked at our video count today. We have 666 subscribers on our YouTube channel and 300 and something videos. That's hard work, dude. That's fucking work. And if people are wondering, like, well, what's the magic? There's no magic. You fucking work. You work hard. You get it done.
I learned Photoshop.
Yeah, you did. Congratulations.
That was my one weakness, and I learned it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
This is only a bigger deal to me because I remember the first time I looked at Photoshop like 15 years ago, and I was like, what?
Now you just need to dive into Illustrator.
No, fuck that. I need to get into After Effects.
Have you
Which
ever,
I think I understand more because of Photoshop and the concept of
I mean, have you ever, now that you do know Photoshop, have you ever just like sat down and been bored and like, I'm just going to mess around in Photoshop today?
I did early on.
Is it fun for you?
It is fun, but going back to like sort of my process with making videos and how simpleton they are, for some reason, and I don't know why, when I get it in my head that I want to make a video and I'm going to post it, I have to do it as fast as I possibly can. Because it's like, I don't think, like I try to get it in as few takes as possible because I don't think it's worth the amount of work to sort through multiple takes and like switching the editing blocks around. Like,
Yeah.
I have no interest. I'm like, look, this is just a video. I talked for a second. I don't want it to be like something I do for a second and then I put the next hour into it.
Right.
So I try to just get it all done as quick as I can. So when I make a thumbnail, same idea. The thumbnail is more of a burden, and I
love making thumbnails.
I mean, I
think it's so fun.
I enjoy it, but I'm also like not trying to spend a lot of time on it.
Right.
So
well, there's a workflow to it.
It's like, look, if it's more than me cropping my face onto a picture and then figuring out the text, I'm over it.
I've talked about this with you before, and I think I've talked about it on here as well. But like, I spend so much of my time figuring out the most efficient way to do things. Like, I budget my time. I'm very big on budgeting my time. Like, I have this amount of time to do this. So when I go into something, almost everything, podcasting, video stuff, everything is down to how efficiently can I do this? If I have to spend too much, like, people are probably still wondering, well, where's video going to be for Sight and Sound Weekly and stuff like that? Look, video stuff it's not hard to do, but it's so much more of a burden than just recording this podcast and putting it up that right now it's not worth it.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Especially the return on investment for what it would be. It's not worth it.
Right. And that's another thing. Like, I had to buy like tripods and lights and spend all that money just for those easy
I've
videos.
used my tripod,
You know?
actual tripod, like twice.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about like how much money and effort I've put into actually making these simple videos.
Yeah.
Like, so it is more of a burden, and I think it's funny though because I've thought about that myself. I'm sitting there thinking like I know that I'm totally disorganized when it comes to like all of my files. Like I know for a fact. So it's funny that you brought this up. I know that you probably have like quick and easy organization. Like you can pull up the Aftersmoke thumbnail template immediately,
Yeah.
or the Sight and Sound template immediately. Whereas like
You kind of just store things in our Google Drive.
I just open it every time I need to make a Sight and Sound music thumbnail or a movie thumbnail. I go to our drive and download it again, and then open it in Photoshop. I don't know where it is. I got to figure it out.
I have a folder on my desktop.
Projects.
It's called Trash. So every single thumbnail that I make goes in that thing, and I delete almost all of them every so often.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I have my templates stored in a Sight and Sound folder. That's why when I send you the Aftersmoke template, the weekly template, it's named template every single time.
Right. I have a Sight and Sound folder that's got like all of my theme music and tasty jams, and then like random things that have been saved, like the YouTube title card,
Right.
and things like that. So
I mean, that's all that is just more of experience more than anything. I mean, I've been designing for like 15 years. And
right.
I cannot tell you how many times I've been there just like looking for that file that you need and you can't find it.
Yeah.
I was talking about this with Kayla the other day. I don't really talk about designing that often
You're talking about it
on here, but I was just thinking back to when I used to design for bands and music and stuff, and how much I love doing that. Like I really did enjoy doing it. But there were 2 projects that sort of encompass why I got out of it. Like I got so passionate about these 2 projects that I was doing for somebody, and when it was finally time to like wrap them up, I couldn't give them to use because they couldn't finish paying me. And I'm not talking about like thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm saying it was an album cover that was $300, so it was $150 to start the project,
Yeah.
and $150 upon completion. And once it was completed, they couldn't pay me, so they couldn't use it. And then their album cover was some shitty like thing that somebody did in Microsoft Paint, and I'm just like, are you serious? Like that breaks my heart. And working with musicians and artists was just like, I've said it before, but it was like working with children.
Yeah.
It was really annoying.
I was gonna say, you hate when I have a problem with art. I can't imagine like.
Well, after so many, I freelanced for like 3 years solidly, and then having not done that for so long and working in a job where I can still design and just get paid to do it, I've tried multiple times to go back and be like, I'm going to pick up freelancing again. It takes me all of one project to be like, I don't want anything to do with this. I want nothing. Because when you work a job every day where you handle that, and it's very minor, like things like change this, change that.
Yeah.
When you get into these things, like I hate it. I fucking hate having to explain concepts to people. It drives me crazy. Like,
because you just want them to get it.
Yes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't really get this. Okay, I'll see you later. Like, it's just like, I hate it, man. I mean, Kayla's a fucking tattoo artist. How much do you hate having to explain your reasoning for drawing up something for somebody?
It's hard. I have like, I have a lot of things to say right now, first of all. I love my job. I absolutely do. I love getting to create art for people every single day. There are moments in time where I absolutely want to strangle clients. Just because it's not necessarily that they don't get it. It's almost like a tone deafness. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like where people hear you.
You're talking to not all the time, but you could be talking to a non-creative about the creative. And so you get frustrated when they just don't get it because, I don't know, you have a sense of purpose for everything all the decisions that you're making and the design of the artwork, and you're talking to someone who couldn't do anything like it themselves. That's why they've hired you to do it, and then they just don't understand any of it. So,
well, there's also the fact that they're hiring you to do a job, they're paying you to do a job, but then they won't let you do your fucking job.
Right, and of course there's the compromise of like you're the artist, but they have their own way of doing it, and so sometimes it just there's not an easy way to mesh a lot of the time.
Yeah, and I'm learning more to just kind of be open and very honest with people. Because when I first started, I used to cave. I used to just say, "Okay, we'll just do it your way." And I'm like, now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, you've hired me, you've sought me out, you've waited to get tattooed by me for however long.
How long is what's your waiting time right now? I've always been curious. I have no idea.
I'm currently booking October. I'm fully booked for the month of September right now. Apart from like a couple of rescheduling issues where people have had. I just had a girl who ran into some vet bills and she just messaged to reschedule her appointment for a month out. But other than that, there's a couple spots that I have to fill still in September, but for the most part, it is completely booked.
Yeah.
It's just the thing.
Well, no, I mean, look, here's the thing that baffles me. I don't know why it baffles me so much, because I'm similar to a certain extent, but the magic that's taken out of a passion, like, I love designing. I love it. But when you do something day in and day out for 40 plus hours a week, now granted, the job that I have, it's not the same as graphic designing. It's more in line with like engineering to a certain extent, but it's just I can't imagine being somebody that loves to draw and create art and paint and things like that, and that is their job on a day-to-day basis,
and have to bend to someone else's will for a lot. Yeah, I mean,
it amazes me, and I'm not just. I would say this if you weren't here. It amazes me that you still have the ability to come home and still dig out inspiration. Like,
she comes home and draws.
It doesn't surprise me that somebody like Mark Ellis doesn't have an additional podcast outside of Collider Video.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's crazy. It's crazy to me. It's refreshing to be in a relationship with a fellow creative person that doesn't just think all I'm doing is playing video games on my computer. So that's really nice.
Man,
but
maybe I got to get me one of those.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe you need to get on Tinder. Have you tried Bumble?
No.
That's apparently a thing. It's a new dating app thing.
Are millennials on more than one dating app?
Well, I was on more than one dating app. I was on Match.com.
Like you would get off Tinder and then go to Bumble? Figuratively speaking, not literally.
I would get off Tinder and go to Grindr. I would get off Tinder and...
I heard the dog whine right after you made that joke, and it was just so fitting. Shitty joke.
I would get off Tinder and go to Match.com.
Really?
Yeah, I know I did. I met Kayla.
He wasn't satisfied. He was still looking for that girl to watch Sense8 with in bed with the frozen pizza. That was a girl right before her, and Mr. Robot. Sometimes I lose track.
She wanted to make out after drinking a whole 6-pack of PBR and eating a Totino's pizza or something like that, and smoking cigarettes.
Kayla, the story that my friends in high school said defined me the most. I
thought you were going to tell her a story that I told you.
No.
For some reason. She's heard that.
That'd be something you'd do.
Yeah, it would be. CT.
Ryan, did you tell Kayla about your new bicycle? No, I didn't. She doesn't care. Anyway, the story that people in high school said defined me the most was when I was in 8th grade. Took a freshman in high school out on a date, and we went to go see Batman Begins. So it's a very Snelling thing, and she asked me to make out with her in the theater, and I said no because of the Batman Begins. Why did I bring that up?
I don't know.
Oh, you were talking about that dating thing. Yeah.
I don't know, but I was going to tell I never got a chance to call into the Schmo show, which whatever, I don't care. But
good.
One of the stories that I was going to bring up on the show I was going to ask a question about like if anybody there had ever done anything relatively sexual in a movie theater before. Like it could be as small as make out or something more.
They would have all laughed and been like, well, yeah.
Well, and then I would have had to have heard Cody Hall's story about that. But regardless,
yes, my question is for Cody Hall. Said no one who called it
exactly.
The show.
Do you know when I had my first kiss? Have I told you that story?
I feel like you have.
I had my first kiss at the movie theater.
Okay.
Do you know what movie I saw?
Open Water.
Joe Dirt. The romantic getaway movie. You like to see homos naked?
You know what? The first movie I ever went on a date with.
Have I never told you that story?
No, that is so funny.
Yeah, I was in middle school.
Tell us about the kiss real quick. Did that happen inside the theater?
All I could, I get very neurotic about like weird
That's
things.
my
sometimes.
thing.
all I could think of was this girl has gigantic
Braces.
lips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one girl
It's like chewing on 2 Tempur-Pedic pillows.
There was this one girl I didn't want to kiss because she had massive incisors, huge incisors.
Are those the pointy ones?
No, those are the front two.
Like
They were
buck
just-
teeth.
They were just no, not even buck teeth. I could just tell that they were a lot bigger than every other tooth.
Okay, I have a question.
Not buck tooth.
I have a serious question.
Not
you don't
like
have buck
Samuel Tarley's wife or whatever.
I have a question. Physically, for Ryan Snelling, what is like the big turnoff?
Big turn off.
Like even for like a hot girl, if you saw like a 10 walking down the street, like what would be the one thing? Like my old roommate John Ransdell once said that he would never go on a date with a girl because she ran weird.
Yeah, I don't. It depends on how hot she was.
10.
Yeah. By the way, I'm gonna answer this question. I don't give a fuck about being PC.
Why would you?
I'm gonna answer it like a man.
Yeah.
One thing I can't stand, like I think so.
Are you a butt girl or are you a butt girl or a boob girl?
I'm definitely a boob guy.
Really? Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
I think like maybe
I could
like
tell a funny story right now.
I
but I'm
think
not going to.
5%. I think 5% of girls on this planet can pull off bangs.
I agree with that.
I can't.
100%.
I can't stand them. I even looked at my time up today, and like 7 years ago, I tweeted, "Girls don't get bangs."
There was a girl. There was a girl in high school. This is not a bully thing. I swear to God, it's not a bully thing because she was kind of a stuck-up, snobby girl. Anyways, she was a freshman when I was a sophomore, and we were in keyboard class. Why do they even have that?
Like computers.
Yeah, it was like a computer class. So
Not sense.
she had these bangs, and for some reason, they always reminded me of like Venus flytrap. That they were just gonna like come down and.
Oh, did she make them into wires?
Yes.
Like they were like cords.
Yes, like she
Groups.
she
They were groups of hair.
gave individual attention to each strand. Anyways,
Oh, it sucks.
so
Like
she
an
was
eyelash for your face.
she was kind of she's a jerk to some people in class. So this one guy that was in my class had just had enough and just started ripping on her like for like 2 solid weeks about her bangs.
Yeah.
And other people like joined in too. She came in like 2 weeks later and had literally cut them off like straight. And so she just had these like fresh fresh grass that had been cut and just sticking up in the front of her hair.
Awful.
Can I tell a story, please?
Wait, on that same class, you know how it was a computer class? Didn't give a fuck. I did not give a fuck in that class. So what I did, I think I've told this story before, but we used to have to do this thing where they would give you a book and you would have to literally go through this exercise in the book on the computer and then print it out and turn it in. I would not do that. I would sit beside the printer, and when somebody would print it out, I would take theirs and they'd be like, "Has anybody seen my printout?" I'd be like, "No." And I just handed it in.
You know how many times I have fucked up my own hair or haircut? Like it so many growing up. Like even before. Not often now. There have been times though, like since I've been shaving my head, that I've accidentally like usually it takes like 2 goes. Like I'll go at it, take a shower, and then I'll find the spot that I missed and then go over it again. And sometimes that second run through, I forgot to put the guard on. So I end up cutting it to the skin in that spot, and then I have to cut it to the skin on my whole and shave it bald. Stuff like that's happened a lot. Also, especially when I was a young kid, I would I remember instead of having a swoop, I actually cut my bangs like that to make it diagonally, and I didn't. Well, it didn't work because I wasn't patient enough, and so yeah, I've done all sorts of things where I'm looking back at myself like, what the fuck was wrong with you?
I knew a girl once who.
Are you telling the microphone a secret?
I'm telling a story.
What the hell?
I don't know what
Are you trying to keep this shit quiet?
I'm fucking projecting. I don't know what
And
else
now you're
I'm
not talking
gonna
into the
do.
mic. I'm fucking projecting.
I knew a girl once a long time ago who she had bangs at one point, and I guess she kind of
I'm
got
sorry.
tired of them, but didn't want to grow them out. I'm not really sure exactly what the reasoning was. I think maybe it started out that she had like a slight widow's peak, but she started shaving her hairline, and like every time it would get further and further back,
like an African American person. They manipulate their hairlines.
I mean,
I wish I could do that.
It was like
Oh yeah.
somebody took. I can't even describe it. I can't even describe
Like
it really well.
I would
Like,
love.
There was a 5 o'clock shadow at some points. Like you could
Oh, yeah,
definitely
yeah.
tell that,
So
that it had been shaved, and but it was like none of us would ever say anything to her.
So you guys, I guarantee, have noticed this about me, but we've never once acknowledged it. But like, I groom my eyebrows, and so I get that. You've never noticed that? I get 5 o'clock shadow. Like I'll groom my eyebrows, and then
Do you shave them or do you pluck them?
No, I don't pluck them. I usually like shave them down, like the top. I'll shave down to like shape it a little bit
Okay.
because they get like crazy bushy. I'm not talking about like drawing my eyebrows on. I don't do that shit.
No, I'm just saying.
I
Like,
literally
if
just groom it,
if
and then
I would never have noticed that. But also like if you pluck them, they tend not to grow back on like the 5 o'clock shadows thing.
oh, I know. I just don't want to hurt myself.
I
It's-
let my eyebrows
That's
go
awful.
crazy.
I
I'm, like, not-
I would rather just groom them with a razor for every week instead of like plucking
mean,
them out.
They have those little like tiny face razors.
I've seen that,
I think I'm gonna get one.
but
'cause it's way fucking easier.
I did start cutting them with a guard. Like I'll just take a one guard over it. shave
Oh,
it,
okay, that's smart.
and then it's like
That's smart. Just
and
trim them.
then, and then I don't have to do that at all. Yeah,
yeah, perfect.
because they go like if I don't touch them, they go.
Just wax them. You gotta wax.
I've waxed my back before.
You gotta
Almost-
wax.
I waxed my back before my friend Josh's wedding, and I almost passed out from the pain because Shelby wasn't doing it correctly.
When's the last time you waxed?
It's been a little bit.
Are you talking about his junk?
I wax and I pluck. No,
Oh, I was gonna say
I wax and I pluck. You got to do both.
you don't fucking wax your eyebrows.
Yeah, I do.
You can always tell
Hey.
when someone waxes their eyebrows,
Nope.
and
Hey,
I've
listen.
never seen that
Listen.
residue from
No,
you.
listen. Well, first of all, you're doing it wrong. So what you have
I'm not doing it.
if you want to wax your eyebrows, look, Ralph Lenardic right now is taking notes.
Does he have bad eyebrows?
I don't know. You never know. I don't know who else would.
I don't think
Luke-
he does.
It doesn't matter. Regardless, if you want to wax your eyebrows,
Ryan Ucci, he's
you
got
have-
some eyebrows.
you have to buy the strips. They make these. They look like Band-Aids. Okay, and what you do is you put them in your hands, and instead of warming up wax, you put them in your hands and you rub your hands together, create friction and heat. That's how science works.
physics.
And yeah, exactly. Then you put them on there and you rip it off, and it's pretty simple. Now here's the issue, real quick. Here's the issue. One time was in a hurry, didn't do that, and ripped straight flesh from my face. And I had this giant scab, and people were like, "What happened to your face?" I was like, "It's a pimple." But it was clearly like someone had taken a layer of my skin,
Yeah.
my epidermis, and just removed it from my body.
So you could just hold it like a little cornflake.
It was literally like that scene from 40-Year-Old Virgin. Like I did it, and I sat there for a second, and I go, "Ah!"
Right. So that's what every time you wax your eyebrows, that person looks like they've been stung by bees in that area.
Oh yeah, you
And
just don't go
I've
out of the
never
house for a
noticed
good
that.
5 hours.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do that and then go into Starbucks like,
Did you have
"Hey guys," looking
you,
like fucking Martian Manhunter or something
right
like that.
Piccolo or some shit?
Yeah.
Did either of you have like bad issues with acne?
Yeah, I did not. So I didn't have I didn't have bad issues with acne, but still to this day, I cannot use a razor. I cannot use a razor
Yeah.
on my neck. I have to use an electric
I
razor.
didn't have acne to where it's like, oh, I'm a pizza face, but I had to worry about pimples popping up frequently. But I never had to like take whatever that medicine is. Accutane. It's not like it was any of that shit. I don't have any scars or anything from any of my pimples, but
I mean, I don't have great skin. I'll be honest. It's
Yeah?
very oily. It tends to break out pretty easily. I have to be super fucking careful, and just because my skin's so sensitive.
because your skin breaks out if it's too oily and too dry. And
Yeah,
it's like
it
you have to
doesn't-
fucking figure it out.
it's taken a long time, and I think also I mean, I think I found the magic formula now, but when I first hit my 20s, like my last teen years, I feel like my skin was great.
Yeah.
I never really felt like I had any issues to deal with. You know, occasionally there was a like pimple here or there, but my like early 20s, I feel like my skin changed and it got really hard to deal with.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. But I also think I wasn't taking care of myself as well. Like
Yeah.
that was when I was drinking a lot heavier and
Yeah, that'll definitely do it.
I
What
think
what was your go-to thing? I remember when Oxy pads came out and they like blew my mind because
Oh,
that
I
was
did like those.
that was one of those things that as soon as you used it, you could feel it. Like it would like give you that great burn. It's like, oh, it hurts, but I know it's working.
Oh, I still have something similar to that, but they're like the fancy.
Is it like a scrub now with beads?
No, it's essentially
Beads
like
are illegal.
it's essentially like
Beads.
Okay, so I have
Beads.
a really nice face wash that has like the scrubby bead thingies, but they're vitamin E bubbles and they pop and they
Yeah.
rub in or whatever. And then I have these like they're essentially like the Oxy pads, but they're like a different brand. They're a nicer brand. If anybody's looking for their skincare routine, ZO.
There was a show. I think it was like Saturday night Nickelodeon. It was called The Brothers Garcia, about a Latino family. And I can't remember if it was one of the boys. I don't remember if there was a sister on
One
the
of
show.
the boys.
But
Yeah,
the character had a pimple and the mom recommended that he cover the pimple with toothpaste.
Yeah, that's a thing.
And I learned that at a very young age, and I was surprised that most people didn't know that. So I've gotten to share that knowledge to people over the years, and I think it's probably the one thing that those people are thankful that they know me for.
So here's the. Well, you can't. Nobody can hear you. So
Kayla's showing me the magic here.
Here's one thing that I discovered.
Smells like Oxypads.
Here's one thing that I've discovered in the last like probably 6 to 8 months. So you and I have YouTube channels.
How you doing?
Or I'm sorry, you and I have our own YouTube accounts. We actually share one, so I know everything that you subscribe to, which is still strange. I have my own YouTube account, and we're guys, and we subscribe to things and whatever. I have found out in the last 6 to 8 months that YouTube subscriptions for a girl extremely different than a guy.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Grim Green, who I follow, I've had on my other podcast before. There's a girl that he runs around with in his crew from time to time, and she has a beauty YouTube channel. I didn't know that like skincare on YouTube is fucking huge.
You didn't
and
know
massive. I didn't really. Well, I didn't know. I don't know it because I don't watch like skincare stuff. So like makeup tutorials, but it's cool. I think that's really, really cool. It makes sense. Obviously, you can learn how to do just about anything on YouTube these days. But growing up, and still even to this day, to a certain extent, like anything that required me to do anything outside of my normal routine, like face wipes and stuff like that, I was just like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that shit. Don't have anything.
Oh, I would.
So in the last couple of years, I finally decided these dry red patches that I have, aka rosacea, should probably figure out if there's a way to remedy that. Turns out all I had to do, put some lotion on my face. That's it.
Put some aloe on it.
That's all you had to do. And now I'm growing up. Like, what else can I do?
That's the whole occupation, dermatology. We'll put some aloe
Take
on it.
Advil for headaches? What a revelation. It was just like,
I
pay attention
think.
to your bodies.
Are you doing that? Because I'm trying to get off the NSAIDs.
I don't. Just take it. It's fine.
I'm trying to get off it. They destroy your body.
That's what they say, but I feel fine. You know
No,
what?
I don't.
Here's
but
the
if I did, I would make sure to stay on a probiotic while doing that.
Actually, the older that I'm getting, the more that I'm starting to realize that antibiotics can fuck you up
Yeah.
really bad. Kayla wants to say something.
So I just had a client come in the other day. And like I've tattooed him before. He heals great, perfectly fine. I've never had any issues with anything I've done on him, and I haven't had issues on him on anything since. But he came in and a couple weeks ago and got a tattoo and told me he was on antibiotics, and I was like, well, it's probably okay because I had tattooed him maybe like the week before, and he said he was feeling okay. He didn't feel sick. It was just like a precautionary thing or whatever. And he came back and he had the worst trouble healing. Like, he scabbed up a lot.
Because his body was like wasted after the antibiotics?
Yeah, like it was on the second day that he took his antibiotics is when he got this tattoo. And I mean, it's not a super difficult spot. It's like a high movement area, so there's a little bit more risk of scabbing. But
yeah,
he said it scabbed and it just wouldn't heal. It took him extra long. He said it was just extra hard to heal. The skin is so weird, and then the fact that antibiotics. So then I talked to a couple of my coworkers, and they were like, "Oh, like we had a guest artist," and I was like, "Oh yeah, like." And I saw it today, and it's fine. The tattoo does, but the guest artist he even said like, I won't tattoo people on antibiotics anymore just because
that's nuts.
It wrecks them. They can't heal from it.
Right.
Which is weird.
Do you know of any like nightmare stories about tattoo artists giving someone tetanus?
I don't know anything about that. I can say that one time I saw some pretty treacherous pictures. A local guy had like done this tattoo that, I mean, it was like nightmare worthy.
Yeah.
It was, she had to go to the hospital. The whole tattoo scabbed up like a thick scab.
I think I've seen that.
Peeled back.
Was it on purpose?
Like Sergio Mormont?
Was it grayscale? Was it on purpose?
No, it wasn't on purpose.
I saw a series of pictures a girl posted.
Oh, that
she got a flower chest piece.
Okay,
tattooed.
She burned herself with acid. So she got that flower chest piece. I researched it because I was like, this is not normal. Like, I've never seen anything heal like that because you saw it. The tattoo that she got, she posted a picture. There's a whole picture series, right?
Yeah.
And if you went to the very beginning,
it was like over a year.
There was a beautiful picture of her chest. This tattoo was fantastic. Apparently, she had gotten it for a boyfriend or something and decided that she wanted to get it removed. And instead of having to pay somebody for it, she decided that she was going to get like an at-home acid removal kit. And she left it on and it burned through the top layer. But because it's such a traumatic way to remove that top layer of skin, it's so caustic. Her skin keloided, which is essentially like your skin forms scar tissue that puffs up.
It looked like a marshmallow.
It's like that elephant ear thing that you talk about. Yeah, that's a keloid. She fucked herself up. Like that's 100% her fault. She had a beautiful tattoo. Yeah? Like, just fucking keep it.
Yeah, because it didn't have the boyfriend's name on it. It was just a design.
No, it was something weird. She wanted to remove it, and she didn't want to pay the money. I thought it was just
a specific type of flower. But
I remember. I know which one you're talking about because it looks traumatic. Like it's fucking awful to look at. It's horrific. No, but okay. So this one that I was talking about though, so it didn't keloid like that, but the entire like a thick scab peeled back like that, like a fucking fingernail that was too long. And the doctors were like, don't pick at it. It has to fall off naturally. And so this fucking thing, it was it was awful.
Did it look like a Swiss cake roll?
Yeah. Of just a hard shell of a scab. It was weird.
Oh,
that was nuts.
Man.
It was I didn't believe. I just couldn't believe that had happened.
Tetanus is one of my greatest fears.
Why?
And when I found out that you could get tetanus from getting tattooed, I decided I didn't know if I wanted another tattoo. Why? Have you seen what people look like with tetanus? it fucks you up.
I mean,
And it's like,
there are shots for that.
I know, and I have one, but at the same time, I don't know.
If you're
Just
going to a reputable place, like there shouldn't be a fucking issue. That's like people that
I don't
are
know.
like,
I'm just saying. Oh, you mean with tattoo artists? I thought you
yeah,
meant like a reputable doctor.
with tetanus.
If you go to a legit doctor's office, you're gonna be fine for 10 years. You only need a booster every 10 years. But I don't know. Tetanus looks.
Do people get tetanus shots as adults?
Yeah, I got one a couple years ago because I thought I had tetanus, which is actually me just being overly paranoid and my anxiety kicking in really bad.
Have you heard anything about like fucking Lyme disease?
I mean,
that shit's scary.
There was a Curb episode on it.
Okay, well, I don't know that. Are you talking about Curb Your Enthusiasm? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about, yes, that show you just said. Yes, I
I
am.
don't fucking watch that.
No, it's funny because you said curb your enthusiasm. Enthusiasm.
Now Kayla's trying to talk fast.
She was screaming a minute ago. I was having to watch the.
No, I was talking about
watch the fucking light.
I was talking about her long pausing.
I know.
I was talking about her long pausing.
What did you say?
I was talking about her long pausing.
Her long pausing.
Long pausing.
Who long? Somebody else long pauses. Oh, what's his name?
Didn't we know a Native American Indian named Long Pausing?
I don't do that joke with you. That's Phil. You're not invited to his wedding.
That's always a me joke. It's not like it's not the thing that I just do with Phil. I usually tweet those out.
I was gonna say long pausing. Who is she? Adi Shankar? People in Sight and Sound don't know who that is. Regardless. What else do we want to talk about? I was gonna mention something else and I fucking forgot about it. Did we reflect? Did we reflect long enough? I guess we did.
Did we reflect long enough?
How'd you feel about that boxing match the other night?
Did you get your money back?
Not yet. It's because but they fucked up. Did I tell this? I guess I didn't tell it on the podcast. So we watched the McGregor Mayweather fight last weekend. Much.
Do you have a bald spot?
Where? No.
Or is your hair white there?
Am I right there?
Bring your hair forward. I guess it was the way the light was shining on it. It looked like, God, I wish I had that hair.
Ryan, you're high. I have fantastic hair. Don't ever. How dare you? How dare you?
I said I wish I had that head of
I know.
hair.
You know what? While you're talking about your hair thing, you do a good job with your hair. You really do. You do fantastic. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. What's this your reaction?
I don't know.
How am I being weird? I'm giving him a compliment.
That's different.
I think he's doing it. I think he's doing his thing. Actually,
Did we reflect long enough?
You have a good facial hair thing going on too. I like your facial hair.
I get lazy. That's not something
So
you
do
can
I.
compliment. You're complimenting something that I haven't even worked on here.
I don't like it. Okay, here's a thing. I'm gonna talk some shit real quick.
Okay. I've got some shit talking to do after. So
Kayla
we'll reciprocate.
had a shop opening party one time, and these people in a beard
I
crew.
thought you were gonna shit talk me.
No. These people in a beard crew came by, like wearing like motorcycle jackets, but the
Yeah.
motorcycle crew was for their beards. Yeah, that was a thing. Yep, I remember very, very distinctly. And I don't like it when people's beards are too taken care of. It's a little weird. Like you're trying a little too hard.
It's funny because I follow the Beard King account, that Bib, that company, that Shark Tank company.
Yeah.
I follow that Instagram account, and all of their pictures or stories and posts are all that type of person that you're describing. The ones that overly do the curls like they're fucking Captain Hook. Like I think that is stupid as shit.
Every now and then I will go to a barber, and I do like it when they shape my beard just to get a good shape going on. But like when they're too, I don't know, man. Like that's, you want to talk about, okay, the perfectly kept beard is like the perfectly kept bangs. It's really like that. Like beard oil, people who put too much beard oil and it looks like,
Yeah. Looks like they just got out of the shower all the time.
yeah, it doesn't look good. I don't like it. Do we reflect enough? Do we do enough reflecting?
All right, let's get Kayla's take.
That's a great song.
Let's get Kayla's
Balancing
take
Composure.
on
Oh
where
wait,
we
I
are
didn't
with-
finish the story about About
I haven't finished half my stories. So I can't remember.
McGregor Mayweather, much to Christian Harloff's chagrin, we watched the fight, and I ordered the fight the day before on the UFC app. You know, trying to support the UFC. Not that they need supporting, but regardless, I ordered it on that app and went to turn it on, and it wouldn't load because there were so many people trying to access it. In fact, the servers actually went down in California and Florida, and so we were trying to watch it. I'm freaking out. I'd already paid $100. And UFC directed people to no longer use their app and actually go to the Showtime page instead, which is what I did, but you had to repurchase it again. So I spent $200 on that fight. And I'm trying to get my money back now. So that's really the story
bullshit. There. They should have been fucking ready.
I mean, it was the biggest pay-per-view of all time, so I don't know.
Yeah, they should have been ready.
I don't really know what else you need to do. Put it on YouTube. Stream it from YouTube. I guess. Maybe that's the answer. What you had shit talking to do? What were you going to shit talk?
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you feel? I want Kayla's take on this too. How do you feel that I'm not impressed with your new furniture?
Yeah, we talked about that the other day. You know what? Here's my thing.
I don't care for it.
So here's my thing about Ryan Snelling. I love Ryan Snelling to death. You are one of the most sensitive people I've ever met in my entire life. But yet you have this very cold way of putting across your point of view. And I love you with all my heart, but I have so many problems feeling empathy for you sometimes because of that very fact.
So one thing that I've noticed about you is that you, like when I'm doing my like Kirbish and Seinfeld bits, and you can argue whether like that's my way.
Those
like,
are bits? Yeah, that's my point.
No, what I'm saying, yeah, I definitely say things just to be. I mean, ask Eric Mulder. Eric Mulder will tell you, I think I'm in a TV show constantly.
But see, I think that's an interesting thing to pick up on because you're distincting that as bits when, I mean, everybody's influenced by things.
No.
Can that not just be something that your personality is influenced by?
What I'm saying, oh yeah. Yeah, that's fine. No, what I'm saying is like when I do those things like around Sturgill or Eric or Cody or whatever, they have a way of like, I've noticed that I guess they just know me so well. They have a way of humoring that. Mm-hmm. And they know that when I get that tone, they just blow it off like, yeah, well, who cares? And I've noticed that you don't do that.
Yeah.
Which is weird because you're more
put up with shenanigans.
You're more carefree than those people. Like you talk about how like you don't particularly care with things. So if I walked into Eric's apartment, for example, and I would say like, Eric, this couch sucks, he would say something like, yeah, well, you don't have to sit there. But you've been holding this in like you want to talk about this.
But no. Let's
hear what Kayla has to say.
Ryan, let's talk about your taste. let's just for 1 second, let's talk about what is your taste in design.
My taste would be a softer couch.
Oh, a softer couch?
A couch that's less rigid.
Fuck yourself, because first of all, it's
did you buy
my couch. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you bought it.
Yes, I did. There's a point for me. You know, comfort is great to an extent. But like my back, I have a really bad like lower back issues, and the whole thing with a comfortable couch, like we had that. It seems great, except when you're trying to sit and do work, and we like to sit and work together. So having a couch that's incredibly uncomfortable to like sit on is just not, I don't know. It sucks.
You're saying a comfy couch is uncomfortable to sit on when you need it for work? Is that what you're saying?
A comfy couch.
You've got your home couch and you've got your work couch.
No, okay. This this couch that we're sitting on is the couch that we previously had.
Right.
It's great if you want to lay on it. It's okay to sit on. As far as like cushiony goes, it's great. This cushion right here,
It's too out.
yeah, it hurts
too
my
forward.
neck. I have to like crane forward, and then the fact that
forward
it
cushion.
caves in, it just doesn't fit your back well. It's not
I
ergonomic.
agree.
But like we found this couch. We kind of bought it on a whim. I like it though a lot. We both agreed on it and we like it. And realistically, at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
I understand that couch pokes out at you. You want something that kind of leans back with you a little bit.
Well, sometimes comfort isn't always the best for you. I mean, lumbar support is legitimately something jamming into your fucking back. So
It's true.
acupuncture is shoving needles into your skin.
Yeah.
Apparently it's good for you, but I've never tried it, so I don't know.
Yeah. I can't describe it. I can't do it justice.
What,
But anyway.
acupuncture or couches?
I was going to explain how acupuncture works, but I realized I wouldn't be able to do it justice. But
I don't know if anybody's ever had needles shoved in them before, but
once a week.
yeah, well, I was about to have like a really I was about to have a conversation that would be of no interest to anybody listening.
I've had like they wanted to hear us talk about the couches.
Well, maybe
My last
maybe people want
Oh,
to live
the
vicarious.
pictures won't do it justice. I'll tell you what. I think you'll have a lot more people on my side if you post those pictures.
I don't know about that because then they would just see the literal aesthetic of it. But
Kayla's getting so offended. Who cares if I don't like your couch?
he's just trying to get under your skin,
I think
like the acupuncture.
I think it's funny, but who spent a fucking year with their fucking bright ass orange on the walls of their bedroom? How did you live like that?
I don't know.
I mean,
Well,
Jesus,
that-
that was like Black and Decker orange. Is that what that is?
Kayla,
fucking
that had-
Home Depot
Kayla,
orange.
that had nothing to do with taste. I painted my room that way for the movie that I thought I was making. It had to do with the character. And then I never repainted it because it was such a that wasn't about
still,
taste. Before
just
that, my
just saying,
walls were
Where's your living room that you designed?
you put some pictures up.
What? I'm confused. This is a weird conversation. I mean, I think the point is like people have different tastes in things. Like it's, I've lived in this house for how long have I lived in this house for? I guess 7 years, maybe. I lived in this house for 7 years, and a lot of it is legitimately the exact same as the day that I walked in. And I mean, I think the thing, look, I'll be honest, and it doesn't have anything to do with her being here. There are legitimately some things about my house that I live in and just decor in general that I would have been just fine with things being the same as they always are. But like, for instance, like plants and stuff. Before, plants aren't practical. I don't give a fuck about a plant.
Yeah.
Plants look pretty nice.
I want plants that
It's pretty nice.
make the air fresher.
I like fake. I like fake plants.
Oh, really? I was gonna say I want those.
I like the
plants,
aesthetic of them.
whatever plant it is. You
It's
put
called a tree.
no, you put a plant in here, and then they they soak up all your impurities and things like that salt rock you got out there. I want something like that.
Literally, it's just they clean the air. That's what they're doing. They're always cleaning the air.
Yeah. Is it ivy that does that?
No, it's all of them. Because they take
There's
the CO2 out.
okay. The way that I know how the plants
no,
work, but I know that
but
there are
there are
specific
tons of
ones that are
different
ideal
ones.
for that. Like I think it's
like
an
I
ivy.
have that snake plant in there that's supposed to clean the air really well. I don't think it's ivy. I think you might be thinking of the plant that I have hanging in there, the one that grows downwards.
I mean, multiple plants can do this. It doesn't have to be this. Ivy might do it as well.
It could. It very well could. But that's not really I don't know if people have that inside very often. I don't know.
That's something that might hang in a basket, I think.
What?
I don't know.
Ivy in general?
Regardless, I know that I want something like maybe that's what
Bitches want ivy. That's a Frank Ocean song.
I might get me like some kind of salt rock or something. Those are interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea of
Sometimes it's just good to buy shit like that and just force it like force it into your decorum. I feel like I need to.
I don't even have shelves in my room yet. I've been in my house for a couple months now, and I still haven't even done shelves. I don't have a proper desk. Even at my lowest point, my desk chair sits too high for the little entertainment center that I have. So that's probably another reason why I don't like to spend time at my computer working on YouTube videos and things like that, because it's never comfortable. I can't stand being on my computer right now.
Here.
It's almost like that couch that we didn't like.
Is it?
She's still on this couch.
You had a couch. I don't have it. I'm using like a little entertainment center that's too low.
I think it's fascinating to me, like, I'm really bad about this, that sometimes I'll do something a certain way, whether it's like, it could be anything. It could be my car, it could be at work, it could be at home. I'll have something a certain way, and I'm just like, I'll let this be how it is for a little while, and then it just ends up being that way for a long period of time. I'm bad about that. Like,
well, it's similar to my whole paint thing. I painted my room, and then it was that way for the next 3 years, and I never did anything about it, even though it was bright orange.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you been there? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't.
It's a very striking color. It wasn't a color that you normally.
It made me like sick a little bit.
You are like taking it personal. It's fine.
It's just like that couch.
Okay. No, listen. No, I'm really not mad about the couch thing. You know,
I was gonna say, what do you care if I like the couch? It's your couch.
No, I 100%. Like, I'm completely fine with that. I have a little bit of a older taste. I think I like mid-century.
You could say, I hate your car, Snelling. It's like, all right, well, it's still my car.
I think you don't understand. I'm legitimately not mad about it, but it's fine. I had a point when I took this fucking microphone, and now you've derailed me.
We were talking about you liked an old style, something about the color of my room. I don't know.
Oh, the color of your room. So the only time, no, I'm telling a story. The only time I've ever had an orange room, I thought it was going to be a really good idea to paint my bedroom when I was married. I had an accent wall that was marigold was the color that we picked out. I picked out. No, you're such an asshole. It was the most alienating color.
Yeah.
I mean, you just go in there and you kind of would feel uncomfortable. Like it was too bright, and there was no level of which it just made everything orange.
The reason why my walls prior were about the color of that lampshade right there.
Yeah.
And then I painted over it in orange. It's like the cover of this microphone. And the reason for that was I wanted it to just look interesting on camera. And I knew that I actually went in wanting more of like a pottery color, like that burntish orange that looks like
a sienna orange.
Yeah. And I originally wanted something like that, but I was like, well, I don't want it to make my room dark looking. I was trying to find an in between of like, how are you going to definitely tell it's orange, but not make my room feel darker? Because I wanted to look better in the light.
Okay.
And so that's what I went with. And then it ends up, you realize you paint 4 walls.
It's just a lot.
Entirely orange, and it ends up being a lot. I
almost feel like it's just intense. Like that's an intense experience to walk into. I feel like the color of a room definitely sets the mood, and that's more of what I was saying. I'm not saying that. I just don't. I think it would almost give me anxiety to go to try to sleep in a room, and I don't. Jay, I think you're laughing at me.
I think you made that point to me, which is
that's not what I'm laughing at. I'm laughing at the fact that you said it would give me anxiety, and you're talking to a person that's lived with anxiety.
Yeah,
that's what
I think you made that point.
Your orange room made you sick.
I'm still sick, even with a nice taupe.
Well, you're coming off. You're coming off of it.
Maybe I still got the brain fog.
Speaking of paint colors, so for a summer, I was working at my parents' office, and my dad, he likes Diet Mountain Dew. Okay, so he's told me he wanted me to paint his back like workshop area. I said, okay,
Oh,
what color do you want me to paint it? And he said, well, I bought this color. And I opened it up and I said, Dad, what is this? What is this color? He said, well, I like Diet Mountain Dew, and it's the color of the Diet Mountain Dew bottle. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
That might be worse than the orange I had.
It's terrible. I will literally take you over there one day just so you could see how shitty it is. And I was like, this is awful. I can't believe he's going to fucking work in here. Years later, bought my screen printing equipment. Guess where I had to print t-shirts
in that room
for 3 years. So I would stand there in like the 90-degree humidity of summertime next to essentially a pizza oven, which is what you dry your shirts on, having to stare at this god awful fucking color that
you walk in and you think you're at like West Coast Customs or some shit.
Dude, it is legitimately worse than that. Like I don't even know. There's nothing in this room that I think could do it legitimate
You walk
justice.
in, you think you're at a pizza arcade or
no, I don't. I literally can't describe it. Like there's a green light down there on my like wall plug-in. It's more intense than that.
That wall light does look like Diet Mountain Dew.
It's even more intense than that. But regardless,
you walk in thinking you're at pizza arcade.
Pretty much. Look, I think we're what's that? It's actually more like people can't see this, but it's actually more like this.
This is
right
great
here.
radio.
Chartreuse color.
Okay, I don't know what it is. Like a PP green color when you've taken too much B12.
That's like a booger green.
Chartreuse.
Are you talking about the background of that picture or that circle?
The background.
That's a booger green.
Yeah, it's fucking hideous. I'll take a picture and put it up on our Facebook group.
An electric booger. If a booger was shocked with electricity,
Band name called it
electric booger.
Yeah, electric booger. Look, I think we're wrapping up here. I think that's 100% what it is. It's chartreuse. Okay, we got it. So I think we're wrapping up this after party.
Good.
We've expired ourselves. I don't even know what time it is. What time is it?
I don't know.
1:30 a.m.
But I need to get home and watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he's rewatching season 1 of Game of Thrones potentially for a podcast.
And it's
more on that later.
Fucking fun.
I really need to do that myself.
So do you remember how much
This is where we can end it off because I actually do have some Game of Thrones stuff.
Let's talk about Thrones.
I'll talk about.
For one, it never ends. This fight with the book readers. I'm still doing this thing. I was talking to Lucas
Schilbach.
Yeah. I was talking to him before having
it.
the age-old argument that we've been having. It's been, you remember how I was freaking out with my original first watch of Game of Thrones?
Yeah, you rewatched it like 5 times.
I'm even more in love with it.
Oh wow, okay.
So, and this is why I'm so fascinated with this.
Was this a preview to first season syndrome?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'll probably reiterate a lot of what I'm saying there. So, there have only been, not even a handful, there have only been a couple of shows that I've loved so much that I've been able to watch them entirely and then watch them over again. Lost, I've seen through maybe at least, literally, I've seen certain episodes of Lost over 10 times, but I've seen it from beginning to end maybe 6 times. And so there's that, and that's an anomaly. So even with Breaking Bad, I've only seen Breaking Bad once in its entirety.
All the way through, okay.
Because when I start it, I've made it like through season 1, and then it's like, I don't know if I can't like...
Well, I think
I don't want to watch Breaking Bad enough that I'm taking time away from another show that I could be watching.
The point that you're making, and I think this is one of the reasons why I think this first season syndrome show is so interesting. First seasons of television shows, 1, can be hard to get through on a rewatch, and 2, sometimes first seasons of television shows don't always have the greatest impact for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So I think they're fascinating to explore.
And it's funny because I think I said it recently on our Game of Thrones coverage that season 1 could arguably be considered one of the worst. And now I'm wondering why I said that.
Yeah.
It's like I think I might have misremembered that because even season 1 feels so different than what season 7 was.
Well,
but it's like I'm still like enjoying the shit out of it.
I think the point to come off of that, and I will 100% make the same point when we cover the show again, but season 7 of Game of Thrones and season 1 of Game of Thrones are essentially married to one another because of, I mean,
that's how you end a show. Usually, that's the right way.
The first time that we're seeing some of these characters together in season 7, we haven't seen since literally episode 1. And I am excited to go back and watch it. In fact, I might even start doing that tonight before I go to bed. But
the Sansa callback with the scroll.
Yep.
Season 1 dig. Yeah, I think what's so fun, it's like, even with me, and this might have been just because I binged the show, you don't always realize what you're looking at. Or it's like, I guess the better way to put it, now that I'm rewatching, I know who I'm supposed to be like following. You know what I mean?
right,
Like, because when
the characters have been developed.
it's like so many characters have been like killed off. You're like, whereas I was probably more into like everything Robb Stark was doing.
Mhm.
Now that I know where we end up,
R.I.P. Robb Stark.
I'm
Spoiler.
I'm like, so I'm entirely focused on Jon Snow and Daenerys' arc. Like,
Yeah.
I'm paying a hell of a lot more attention to that. Whereas I thought Daenerys was like the D storyline of Game of Thrones.
I know, right? Isn't it so funny how small in season 1 those characters are? They really are essentially, especially Daenerys, essentially a side character.
Yeah.
In season 1.
I feel like that's just my take. I'm not. No.
Yeah, it's just our opinion on
No,
things.
I'm just saying how the viewing experience has differed. I'm not making any kind of criticism. I'm not saying that Daenerys.
I can see that. I can see that from a
you just-
female perspective.
Sure.
Daenerys has always been my favorite character. Daenerys, and then Jon Snow was always a close second, just because I felt like they were both two very incredibly interesting characters.
Right.
Just from like his storyline, and obviously, you didn't get to see as much of Jon Snow, in season 1, but the mystery of his mom always intrigued me. I think so that 100% put him as an interesting character. Robb was never like, he was interesting, but I thought he just wasn't that well thought through. Does that make sense?
Well, the thing about Robb, and the reason why the first viewing cared so much about him, is because it was so easy to rally behind him because of his cause in season 1,
Right.
which is to avenge
his father.
When at the time it's not about avenge.
It was more of a season
at least when
2
he
thing.
first starts it. But I guess what I'm getting to is like everyone fucking loved Robb Stark, and that's why Red Wedding was so effective. But anyway, I guess the better way to put it is that it's exciting to see which characters, like, it's exciting to see how much they've changed. So now that I know that I'm supposed to be going back and watching these particular things, and the other thing too is that like Bronn. I knew Bronn had been around, but I didn't even really remember everything that he had gone through with these characters.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh yeah, Bronn did do that in season 1.
Actually, I'd forgotten that he was even...
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, the point that I was trying to make before with Daenerys and Jon, it wasn't my perspective on those two characters. It wasn't my perspective on those two characters right now. I mean, when the show started, my first watching the show, not only had I never read the books, I didn't know anybody that had read the books. The show, Game of Thrones season 1, was my first introduction to that whole world.
Yeah.
I thought, like probably anybody else who was like me, I thought the show was about Ned fucking Stark and his family.
Yes.
That's my perspective on it. And so watching the season the first time through, experiencing all these characters. I mean, let's just be honest. Daenerys, when she's introduced, is half a world away, essentially. Like,
yeah.
And Jon Snow is leaving these people. So just the first season, the first experience, to see where they are now, obviously. And I'm sure for the book readers, they knew. But I didn't have that perspective.
So I remember, my experience is, a friend of mine that I worked with was like, oh, you should check out this show. And it was back when you would torrent TV. So he connected his laptop to my TV. We watched the first episode of Game of Thrones. And I thought that it was this like Sean Bean vehicle. Because I remember when the Blu-ray case
that's the guy from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I remember when the Blu-ray case came out and it was gray and it's him sitting on the Iron Throne. And I thought, like, this is going to be a Sean Bean show. And at the time, because I had next to no context, like, I don't even remember knowing that it was a book. Like, I went into season 1 being lost entirely on the geography. I didn't understand. I watched an entire season of that show having
even to this day. It's our first
hard.
episode. We were corrected.
At first I didn't understand. I remember seeing with that Blu-ray set, they put a family tree of all of the main four families,
right?
And even I think the tree confused me more. Watching the show, so it's like I watched an entire season just kind of like not getting it. And so it's a lot more fun to go back and understand it. But I remember like I said, at the time I thought it was a Sean Bean vehicle. I just figured it was gonna be like another, like, trying to think of an example. I just thought it was just any other drama.
Right, of course.
You know what I mean?
Well,
it's
that's the allure of the show, really.
Right.
But
I thought it was like to me at the time, Game of Thrones was no different than if Sean Bean appeared in a sci-fi original series.
Right.
And it could have been just another whatever show.
I have got to tell you, and I just remembered this the other day. I have got to tell you my first ever exposure to George R.R. Martin. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
The first time I was ever exposed to him was via an interview where he was shitting on Lost. It was an interview talking about I don't remember who did it, but it was something about how, meet the creator of the potential next TV phenomenon, the next Lost. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And in the interview, he was like talking about how he would have done a better job. And I was like, fuck this guy. Fuck this old man.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I remember listening to an interview with Damon Lindelof responding to George R.R. Martin.
I think that's how I found out about it.
Because Lindelof was like...
Because I was like, what's a Game of Thrones?
Yeah, Lindelof was... Exactly.
Yeah.
It, like, when you hear fantasy novels, you think of just, like, some weird books.
It could be anything.
At the library. It's like... Game of Thrones was, believe it or not, something that I would laugh at a few years ago.
Yeah, 100%.
The idea of it. So I remember Damon Lindelof talking about that criticism because it came from someone he respected and was such a fan of. And so I remember him talking about A Song of Ice and Fire, and I didn't think anything of it. I didn't really understand or know that it was even that big.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
But the last thing I'll say to sort of wrap, I guess, this whole discussion up, since ending this season, I have just been having a grand old time rabbit holing on the internet. The after effects, the post game breakdowns of not just Game of Thrones this season, but diving even deeper into the mythology of things that I didn't know about because they're intertwined in the books and getting a better understanding of things. And I was thinking about it, man. Like, even though this is a book series and it's completely different from other things, is this the closest thing that we are going to have to
another
Star Wars Episode 4 coming out, starting a new world, a new fandom, so to speak? Like, obviously, these aren't people in the 70s lining up around blocks to watch this movie.
It's the
Does HBO have their Star Wars?
Yeah.
I think so.
But it hasn't been fully realized yet.
I agree.
But we're on the cusp.
We're not going to know until 5 years after this is over.
We're on the cusp of these prequel series as well. Or not even spin-off series.
Yeah. We don't know what they're going to be.
So, I mean, this could be a whole network and a whole landscape universe. I'm trying to think of...
It's just been executed
between
so well.
Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, Star Wars are the three like most mainstream, fleshed out universe. And
Fantastic Beasts
I guess
still breaks my heart.
I guess Marvel, I would say Marvel is close as well, just because I get a lot of enjoyment seeing Marvel, like at the beginning of Ant-Man. That whole thing with young Hank Pym and hanging out with Agent Carter and getting to see her, like that whole mythology. That I'm fascinated when, like with Harry Potter, the most interesting stuff is sometimes what happened back then.
Yep.
With all of the adults. The adults have so much all of the school teachers have their own history, and it fully affects their students. And that's what I love so much about Harry Potter. And you can say that now about Star Wars and Marvel and Game of Thrones times 10.
Yeah.
Because
that's what's crazy about it.
I didn't realize revisiting it and hearing the names over and over again, like all the different Targaryens, you have to follow like six generations of Targaryens.
I watched a YouTube video today talking about like the different Aegon Targaryens.
Yes.
What the White Walkers want, and just diving into not just mythology, but the mythology that exists in the show, where they're like, oh, old myths say.
Yeah.
That is so fucking fascinating.
And it's like one thing, like Star Wars. You hear about something like the Star Wars movies can reference some sort of prophecy, but in Star Wars, I would almost doubt that they have that even fully fleshed out.
Yeah.
But it's like when you watch something like Game of Thrones, you hear about a prophecy, you know that like 6 generations ago, someone like
Rogue One is a great example of that. Rogue One and the mythology of Rogue One has existed since episode 4 came out. But every single thing that happened didn't happen until last year when Rogue One came out.
They're open about the fact that they just came up with that explanation.
Exactly.
Because they just came up with Cassie and Andor. And they just created the Urso family, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's when you can't compare it.
Yeah.
When you're talking about Game of Thrones and you have 6 Targaryens that you have to know that aren't even in the show, let alone the 3 that have appeared in the show so far. 4.
Well, and that's why I think something like a Harry Potter and a Game of Thrones actually, in my opinion, does a little bit better than Star Wars, because Star Wars, you kind of just loosely hear about, and of course we have the novelizations that have now been retconned and all that stuff, but you hear these loose ideas of things that exist, and they don't reference the mythology as in depth as they do, I think, this is just my take, in Harry Potter or Game of Thrones. Like I have, and maybe, I mean, honestly, I'm probably of the 3, I would probably say I have the least fanboy interaction with Star Wars from Harry Potter and Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So maybe I just need to spend more time with it.
Maybe
I have no basis to say.
You know what's interesting? And I just came up with this, and I don't even know what my thought is yet. But one thing I just noticed is like, whenever Star Wars comes up with something, they always just make it about a new planet.
Yeah.
Whereas George R.R. Martin's generational history is only about key locales that we all already know.
2 continents
in Westeros and Essos.
Yeah.
But it's like, for example, they just created Harloff Minor, Christian's planet.
Yeah.
For Rogue One, all of those planets were brand new. Like you
Right.
said, we didn't know that they had just left Scarif right before A New Hope. And it's like anytime they need something, they go to a new planet instead of
It's very convenient.
building more history in the planets that already exist. And I'm not saying that they don't have a history of Coruscant involved. They definitely do. But it's not as explored. And they just were like, oh, I'll just come up with a new planet because I don't want to have to worry about this. And I'm not even trying to diminish what the story group is all about, because those people are incredibly knowledgeable and are there for purpose. But I'm kind of, even though those people are impressive,
Mm-hmm.
I'm even more impressed that J.K. Rowling tweeted out like yesterday, this is when Albus Potter graduated Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Isn't
that
Like
crazy?
she tweeted that out.
That's a
she
whole
knew that.
other thing.
And it's like all of that is just in her head.
Yeah.
She woke up and was like, yeah, this is when or it was like his first day. His
Harry
first
Potter
last
canon
day.
can exist on social media. That's crazy.
It's like I'm paraphrasing, or I can't remember it exactly, but she does that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible that it's like, yeah, she just knows.
Even things as simple as, well, Dumbledore is actually gay. It's like,
yeah. Well,
Okay.
actually,
That's what you say.
actually, even it goes way beyond that, Jay. Like if someone tweets at her, like, "Hey, can you tell me why Hermione's mom did this?" and blah 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 blah. Yeah, it was because her sister was abused as a kid, and blah blah blah. And
Right.
it's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
you know all of this.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and so yeah, that's what's I think more impressive with Harry Potter and Game of Thrones than
Stock
Star
on Harry
Wars.
Potter though, a little low.
Well, it's because Fantastic Beasts was
Not
just
legitimately
lame.
like the value of it.
I mean, it's just over.
pop culture. Yeah.
For me, it's over. I mean,
Well-
I'm not a Fantastic Beasts fan, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
It breaks my heart a little bit.
Yeah, but
We do have Game of Thrones.
for a little bit longer, yeah, for another year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. You can find us on social media at Sights on Pod, at Jaye Williams, J to the A to the Y to the E on Twitter and Instagram. Go to Sight Sound Pod, pick up our September exclusive t-shirt, new merch coming in October. Ryan, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WhatUpSnell. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our podcast. We have more podcast listeners now. Like, I know we talked about our YouTube subscribers. We're very thankful. But we've noticed a spike in our podcast listeners too. So I just want to say thank you. If you solely listen to our podcast, I greatly appreciate it. We love all you guys. Come hang out with us in the Facebook group. Just search Sight and Sound. That link is also in this very description. Keep the chatter going. And check out our September exclusive t-shirt right now on sightsoundpod.com.
Kayla, do you want to plug your Instagram? No. Okay.
She's more popular than all of us.
Absolutely. One last thing that I want to say. She's wearing black jeans with the knees ripped in them. And it's funny that she's wearing this because today I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube, like bands performing live, and they all had this. And I thought to myself, I want some black jeans with holes ripped in the knees.
Who is she, Ace?
And now, yeah, Perry. Now she's got them, and now I really, really want them. I know you've had them, but I've realized it now more than ever. So, guys, let's start a GoFundMe to get me some black jeans with holes in the knees. All right, that's all I got. Go ahead and hit that stop button. See you later.